I love waiting for that moment when we hear the last tones of the piano. It is just such a wonderful way to welcome and start our Sunday service. Today we gather on in this shared space where familiar faces meet new ones, and together we create something greater than ourselves. A team, a community, a story that unfolds in real time. And I'm the Reverend Samaya Oakley. My pronouns are she and hers. And in Unitarian Universalism, our rituals, like the rhythm of a well-played game, ground us, connect us, and call us to something deeper. Whether it's the simple act of lighting a chalice, the moments in shared silence, or the songs that we sing together, these rituals remind us that we are never alone. They are the heartbeat of this congregation, echoing across time and place, just as the crack of a bat or the cheer of a crowd links generations of baseball fans. Baseball teaches us that no game is won by a single player, just as reconciliation cannot be achieved through a single story. When we only see history from one angle, we miss the full picture, like the batter who only watches the pitcher, unaware of the fielders moving into position. Marie Wilson's concept of new-eyed seeing challenges us to look again, to recognize what we once overlooked, and to see with fresh awareness the stories, the truths, and the wisdom that has always been there. Reconciliation is not just about what we know. It's about how we choose to be. It calls us to learn new ways of being in relationship with the land and with one another, and with the truths that have been too often ignored. We have an opportunity to do that in a tangible way with an upcoming drum-making workshop on the first weekend in April with Chantal Chagnon. This workshop includes teachings that invite us to deeper understanding and connection, and registration is now open. Our work in truth-telling and reconciliation asks us, who has been left out of the story? Whose voices have been unheard? What changes when we truly see, not with just old assumptions, but with new understanding? May we open our eyes, our minds, and our hearts to a fuller truth and step up to play our own part in right relationship. Today, as we step into the ritual of reflection, community, and commitment, let us remember that we are all a part of something larger than ourselves. Each of us brings our own story, our own gifts, and together we build something meaningful. Thank you for bringing your spirit, your presence, and your open heart to this gathering. Come. Let us worship together.
Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Allure, Jen. My pronouns are she and her. And I've been a member of the Calgary Unitarians for approximately 2 years now, having first started attending online during the tail end of the pandemic. A time when we were all very, very tired. Around that time, life just seemed to be throwing a lot of low balls at me, and I was struggling to keep getting up. And I knew I needed to find a place where I could hear a shared message of hope. And my deep introvert knew that it had to be done in community, which was terrifying. What drew me to trust this community was the message I heard and witnessed, a message that mirrored a thing I had tried to hold true to for years, which was my 3 L's of listening, learning, and love. So began a wonderful process, ongoing, of renewal, and this introvert is now standing up here wearing a baseball shirt and sharing a table with other like-minded souls. Thank you. Across the continent, Unitarian Universalist meetings, gatherings, and services begin with the lighting of a chalice. We do so to renew our commitment to the Unitarian Universalist faith. The lighting of the chalice holds us and grounds us as we create our sacred space together. It reminds us that we are part of a love that holds us deeper than we could ever imagine. A love that, in the words of Hank Aaron, prepares us to seize the moment and to have the courage to take our best swing. We light this chalice for renewal of our faith, and it is in the spirit that we light the chalice this morning.
Our opening song today is one of the most famous baseball songs using the original words from 1908. I'm sure you all know the verses, so you'll have to help me with the verses. Here we go. I invite you to stand in body and or spirit here as we sing together. Katie Casey was baseball man, had the fever and had it. I guess we're just doing the chorus then. Here we go. And oh, take me out to the ball game, take me out to the crowd, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, let me root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. These words are not on my page, so apologies, everyone. Can we just go back to slide 1? We're going to do the chorus one more time. Take me out to the ball game, take me out to the crowd, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back, so me root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you for helping.
Woo! Let's play.
Need to stay hydrated for the ball game. Good morning. I am now co-interim DRE Rachel Smith. I am so excited to step up to the plate to help keep things thinging along here in the interim as best I can.
Woo!
I am also going to be working with established DRE Liz Cox, a Unitarian religious educator who grew up in the UK as Unitarian and is currently residing all the way over in Newfoundland, but helping via the marvels of modern technology. She's worked with congregations in Canada, the US, and Europe, both as a DRE and membership coordinator, migrating people onto Breeze, which is what we're working on as well. Jason is working hard on that, and so hopefully she'll be able to lend us a hand with our admin systems and all that background stuff that you don't see as much of. Today, our story for all ages is one that has a special place in my heart. It's one that I actually read way back in my own T-ball years. My elementary school's team was the Gretna Grizzlies, the name of the team in the story. Amelia Bedelia, considered by some to be a neurodivergent icon, and her team, the Grizzlies, are going to show us how complicated communication can be and give us a glimpse into different ways of understanding. We have Play Ball, Amelia Bedelia, by Peggy Parrish. Amelia Bedelia walked past the baseball field. The Grizzlies team was there. I never saw such gloomy faces, said Amelia Bedelia. Did something terrible happen? We play the Tornadoes today, said Jimmy, and Donnie has the measles. It's maybe too timely. There is no one to take his place, said Tom. What about me? Said Amelia Bedelia. You, said the boys. That's great. But I don't know much about the game, said Amelia Bedelia. The idea of the game is to hit the ball and run to each of the bases, said Tom. The other team tries to get the ball and tag you out. That is easy enough, said Amelia Bedelia. Maybe we should warm her up at bat, said Bob. Good idea, said Tom. Amelia Bedelia, you hit the ball when Bob throws it. All right, she said. Bob pitched the ball, but Amelia Bedelia missed it. No, said Tom. You must step in to meet the ball. Bob pitched the ball again, and Amelia Bedelia stepped in to meet it. Ouch, she said. This game hurts. Later, she said, all right, I am warmed up. In fact, I am hot. Then be here at 2 o'clock, said Jimmy. Amelia Bedelia went home. She went right up to the attic. I know, there is a uniform in here somewhere, she said. And there was one. She took a nip here and a tuck there, and soon that uniform was just right. That's done, said Amelia Bedelia. Now what should I do until it is time to go? Then she saw the cookie jar. It's empty, she said. I will soon fix that. Amelia Bedelia put some of this and some of that into the bowl. Amelia Bedelia mixed, and she rolled, and she baked. Amelia Bedelia looked at the clock. My goodness, she said, I better be on my way. Amelia Bedelia got her things and went to the ballpark. Here she is. Here's Amelia Bedelia, called the Grizzlies. Then let's play ball, said the Tornadoes. The Tornadoes are up first, said Tom. Amelia Bedelia, you stand here. Catch the ball if it comes your way. All right, she said. Batter up, called the pitcher. The pitcher threw the ball. The batter hit it. He ran to first base. Get the ball, Amelia Bedelia, yelled Tom. Tag Jack before he gets to second base. Well, I must have a tag in here somewhere, said Amelia Bedelia. She tagged Jack. Another boy came up to bat. He hit the ball. The ball landed near Amelia Bedelia. Throw it to first base, yelled the boys. Put Dick out. So Amelia Bedelia threw the ball to first base. Then she ran and grabbed Dick. How far out do you want him? She called. Amelia Bedelia, put him down, shouted the boys. So Amelia Bedelia put Dick down. You sure do change your minds fast, she said. You told me to put him out. Dick got back on first base, and the game went on. The next batter missed the ball. The catcher threw the ball to the pitcher. The pitcher missed it. Amelia Bedelia caught it. Hurry, Amelia Bedelia! Throw the ball, shouted the boys. Dick is trying to steal second base. Steal second base? Said Amelia Bedelia. That's not nice. Amelia Bedelia ran and picked up second base. It's all right, fellows, she called. Second base is safe. Oh, for gosh sakes, Amelia Bedelia, said the boys. Put it back. Amelia Bedelia looked puzzled. But he was going to steal it, she said. It's all right to steal bases, said Tom. That is part of the game. Oh, said Amelia Bedelia. Finally, the Tornadoes were out. They had made 2 runs. It was the Grizzlies' turn at bat. Tom was first. He struck out. Then Jimmy had his turn. He hit that ball so hard he made it to third base. Next it was Bob's turn. He hit the ball. Then it was Amelia Bedelia's turn. Bedelia's. Come on, Amelia Bedelia, said Bob. Make it a base hit so Jimmy can run in. Which base should I hit? She asked. Just hit the ball and run to first base, said Tom. All right, said Amelia Bedelia, and that is just what she did. Jimmy scored for the Grizzlies. The team cheered. The next player struck out. The Tornadoes were at bat again. The score was Tornadoes 2, Grizzlies 1. The Grizzlies called a timeout. Amelia Bedelia is not very good in the field, said Jimmy. She gets all mixed up. Maybe she could be catcher, said Bob. The boys turned to Amelia Bedelia. You be the catcher, said Jimmy. What do I do? She asked. Stand behind the batter and catch the ball, said Jimmy. So Amelia Bedelia stood behind the batter. The pitcher threw the ball. The batter was about to hit it, but Amelia Bedelia pushed him out of the way. And Amelia Bedelia caught that ball. I got it, fellas, she called. The whole team groaned. The Tornadoes were very angry. Put her someplace else, they called. Put her way out. So the Grizzlies put Amelia Bedelia way out in the field. The game was not going very well for the Grizzlies. The score was Tornadoes 8, Grizzlies 5. The Grizzlies were at the bat. It was the last inning. They had 2 outs. The bases were loaded. And Amelia Bedelia was up at bat. The Grizzlies were worried. Please, Amelia Bedelia, please hit that ball hard. Amelia Bedelia swung at the first ball. She missed. She swung at the second ball. And again, she missed. Please, Amelia Bedelia, please, shouted the Grizzlies. Amelia Bedelia swung at that next ball, and oh, how she hit that ball. Run, Amelia Bedelia, run, yelled the boys. Run to first base. And Amelia ran. Tom says stealing is all right, she said. So I'll just steal all the bases. I will make sure the Grizzlies win. Amelia Bedelia scooped up first base and second base and third base. Home, shouted the boys. Run home, Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia looked puzzled. But she did not stop running, and on her way she scooped up home plate too. The boys were too surprised to say a thing. And then Tom yelled, "We won! We won the game! Amelia Bedelia, come back!" shouted the boys. "We won!" But Amelia Bedelia was running too fast to hear. She did not stop until she reached home. "This is a silly game," she said, "having me run all the way home." Suddenly, she heard a loud roar. "Hooray! Hooray for Amelia Bedelia!" There were the Grizzlies. "We won! The score was Grizzlies 9, Tornadoes 8, said Jimmy. "You saved the game, Amelia Bedelia." "I'm glad I could help you boys out," said Amelia Bedelia. "Maybe we should keep Amelia Bedelia on our team," said Bob. "She could be the scorekeeper." "I would be happy to keep your score," said Amelia Bedelia. "I have a nice box with a lock on it. Your score would be safe with me." The boys laughed. "You will never learn baseball," said Tom. "Now, can we please have our bases and home plate back?" "You sure can," said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia went inside. She looked at home plate. Now, what kind of home would use a plate like that? "But it isn't polite to return an empty plate. I will have to do something," she said. Amelia Bedelia piled the plate with cookies. "That's it," she said. "Here you are, fellows." The boys quickly emptied the home plate. "Hooray for Amelia Bedelia! Hooray for her cookies!" shouted the boys, and then they went on their way. And Amelia Bedelia went in to bake. That cookie jar was empty again. And now, if you would please join me in singing the children downstairs, and if any of the kids would like to come and be part of some re-singing the old ball game song, please come down with me.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace.
So as the music begins, I invite our ushers to get into position to receive the offering. All right. Baseball is a game of teamwork, perseverance, and stepping up when it's your turn. Generosity is much the same. Every great team on the field or in a faith community depends on its members showing up, giving what they can, and supporting the greater good. Here at Calgary Unitarians, we take our turn at bat by sustaining the self-supporting congregation and its many ministries. But our impact extends well beyond these walls. This month, part of our Sunday collection will support Flaming Chalice International, funding initiatives that bring hope and opportunity to communities in Burundi and Rwanda. Together, we can hit a home run for change. To direct your donation to Flaming Chalice International, please indicate for others on your envelope or e-transfer memo line. And to our guests, your being here is a grand slam already, so please don't feel any obligation to give, simply let the basket pass you by. After the collection, you're invited to step up again, to light a candle or drop a pebble into our communion water, or both, honoring the joys and sorrows you carry today. May we give as we are able, may our generosity be a winning play, and may our gifts be received with gratitude and love.
I can't tell you how beautiful your faces are this morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence. Each Sunday, we take time to tend to the sacred bonds that connect us all, affirming that what touches one of us affects us all. In this space, we recognize that family extends beyond traditional definition. It encompasses the community that we create together. In these moments, we seek to widen our circle of care by sharing the joys the sorrows and the milestones of our lives and the life of this congregation. Today, we hold in our hearts those who are navigating the complexities of family relationships, those feeling the weight of grief from lost ones, loved ones, and those facing the end of significant connections. We also remember those contending with illness or suffering, whether physical, mental, or spiritual. May they and their caregivers find comfort in all of this time. For those of you who carry such burdens, seen and unseen, we light this candle for you. Alongside the struggles and the sorrows of life, we also celebrate the joys that bring us together. Today, we give thanks for the milestones and the blessings that remind us of the beauty of connection and community. And we rejoice in our chosen families. And we also lift up those who attended the Turning of the Wheel workshop on Saturday morning. People felt such a warmth of connection and support in that morning. There's so much to behold in this world, so many gifts to savor. For those who are lifted up this morning, we light this candle for you. And today, we light another candle with hearts open to the struggle and resilience of those who face racism and discrimination. As the United Nations Week of Solidarity approaches, may this flame shine as a beacon of hope, a beacon of love. May it remind us that we are not separate from the work, that justice and compassion call to us to journey together, to listen deeply, to act with courage, to create a more just and loving world. May all that has been shared here strengthen and renew the bonds of our beloved community, in joy and sorrow, in both struggle and success. May we together embrace life's blessings. This is our time together, our time to listen to contemplative words, sit together in silence, and come out of that silence with music. When we move into that time of silence, rest in the knowledge that Christian is timing us. So if it feels like it's a long time, just breathe, return to the breath. We won't be in silence for more than 2 minutes. We gather this hour as a community of faith seeking to transform our world through prayer and action, seeking to transform our lives through justice and beauty and righteousness. We pause together to reflect on the times we live in, our culture, ourselves. We reflect on the needs of all people and upon our own needs and those of the people we love. And yet, we gather this way every week, and every week we work for and we pray for goodness and righteousness to triumph. Every week we speak of the power of hope and justice. Every week we move forward just a little more towards peace. And yet, every week there is registered in the media and in our lives more tragedy, more injustice, more suffering. And yet, every week the injustice and assault continues to rise anew. Spirit of life and love and truth, hear our cry. Help us to find hope amid the embittering despair. Help us to find strength to act in the face of continued injustice and apathy. Help us to find courage to believe in those ideals of justice and beauty and righteousness. Help us to reach out from our very being to transform the world and to be transformed ourselves. Help us to know, despite the messy complexity of life, that we do not labor in vain, that peace one day will prevail. Hold us well and give us strength on this journey, O Spirit. In this spirit, let us enter the reverent space of silence.
Find a stillness, for the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I
Someone over here has a deliciously beautiful bass voice. Just saying. I don't know who, it was just delightful in the song. I just really thank you. Thank you for lifting your voices so openly and warmly in song. You know, I can't help but think of baseball or softball at this time of year. As a kid growing up in Saskatoon, somehow when the buds were on the tree, and I am seeing buds on the tree, I'm just saying, even on this cold, snowy morning, there's a whiff of spring in the air, and that always reminds me of softball. And it reminds me of my dad. My dad was a man who loved his sports. Any sport would do in a pinch, and baseball was his favorite among them all. Each year, in honor of him, I do a baseball service. So, I want to just make a disclaimer here. By no means am I an expert of the game. I played it as a child. Later as an adult, I played first base, but I don't know what the stats are, who's playing, and honestly, even who the teams are, except for the Toronto Blue Jays. That was my father's favorite team. Instead, I use the theme of baseball as an analogy for life because, you see, I think it gets at many of the ways in which we as individuals are encouraged to bring our best of who we are to this game called life. It also teaches us a lot about how to be in community together because the team could very well represent any of the groups that gather, including our own here. And just like a baseball team, our congregation also needs people to step up, to bring their unique gifts and skills, and to help lead us forward. This is a message to you who are members of our congregation right now because the Board of Trustees is looking for people to serve. This is an opportunity to help shape our future of this community, to bring your voice and your leadership to the work of sustaining and strengthening our congregation. If you feel even the slightest nudge in your heart to consider serving, I encourage you to reach out, to ask questions, and explore whether or not this might be your turn to step up to the plate. Baseball teaches us that each day is a new opportunity. We can build on what we did well yesterday, and we can continue to do better when we fail. Because you see, each new day is a new game, and it's an opportunity to start over again. And isn't that what baseball is all about? It was for this reason that when I heard that Amazon Prime had a new series a few years ago called A League of Their Own, I knew I'd have to watch it. I love the movie A League of Their Own, with Tom Hanks, Madonna, Gina Davis, and Rosie O'Donnell, and I wondered what they would do with the TV series. The game, the show, both the show and the TV show, is about one of the teams, the Rockford Peaches, that played for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. It is in large part a true story, and there are parts of the story that have been fictionalized. To keep baseball in the public eye in the 1940s, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League was formed. It was a professional league that existed from 1943 to 1954 that had 10 teams playing with players all across the US and Canada. You see, most of the men were off fighting in the Second World War, and they needed something to keep the game alive, so let's turn to the women. All in all, over 600 women played in the league, with over 10% being Canadian. As the league was formed, scouts scoured small towns looking for women who could play ball. The pay was good, often more than their parents or their husbands made, so hundreds of women flocked to regional tryouts to try and prove to the scouts that they had what it took to play ball. Of the hundreds that tried out, Only 280 were invited to Wrigley Field for final tryouts, and of these, only 60 made the cut. These were often young women who had rarely been away from home and found themselves thrust into a new and exciting world. And it was a grueling world. Their lives consisted of playing ball during the day, and in the evening attending charm school. There were strict rules for women who played in the league. They were rule-bound to present a feminine image both on and off the field. Some of the rules they needed to follow included always having to wear skirts. They had to wear lipstick when they played ball. When they went out in public, they needed to have a chaperone. And they had to avoid alcohol and men. And they could never, ever swear. In the movie, it's Dottie who is the epitome of what the ideal feminine ball player should look like and act. In the scene where they're being addressed at their very first charm school, how many of you have seen the movie? Yeah. Do you remember that scene at the very first evening at charm school, and they're like, all the players come in and the charm school ladies are standing there, and they had something critical to say about every single ball player but one, Dottie. The only thing they had to say about Dottie was, lovely. In fact, she's so much the All-American League's ideal of a woman ball player that they had a press narrative around her. They called her Dottie, the Queen of the Diamonds. And in this version, we are provided with a single story of who the all-North American woman should be. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, in her well-known TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story, tells us that the single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they aren't true, but they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. And I'm learning myself how to notice the times that I am being given a single story. And I'm learning to become curious, to ask questions. Questions like, who's left out? Whose story does not get told in this narrative? We go back in history and begin to collect the stories that remained hidden or simply were forgotten. That's what I believe our recently adopted eighth principle is all about. It's how we live out our everyday lives. It's through hearing these alternative stories that we begin to work on our individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and in our institutions. As Unitarians, as Universalists, as Unitarian Universalists, we are aware, just in that statement alone, that there is a multiplicity of truths, of living and being in the world. When we take the time to delve into understanding these forgotten stories and ways of being in the world, we're living out our acceptance of one another, and it's the way that we demonstrate our encouragement to spiritual growth. That's what I loved about the TV series, A League of Their Own. It provided alternative stories to those who lived through this important time. In fact, it invites us into a story that the league owners tried to erase from the narrative of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. There are historians as well as actual players who believe that the rules the owners of the league put in place were designed to prevent the women from being perceived as lesbian. You see, in that time, homosexuality was not discussed much, if not at all. It was, excuse me for saying this, it is of the time. It was seen as a disease or a mental illness. Yeah, boo. If a player was even suspected of being a lesbian, they would have lost more than their careers. They would have lost their families, their occupations, and most certainly their reputations. And this version of the story centers around sexuality, inclusion, and racism, and that helps round out the single story of baseball in that time, and the single story of baseball that I was raised in. This is the world the TV series invites us into. We're invited into a world of the Rockford Peaches that is made up of misfits and the people who don't fit in, and many of them are gay or queer. Beauty consultants are stymied. Over and over again, we see different players being punished for one infraction or another for not being feminine enough. One actually ends up being kicked out of charm school and the team because they failed it. And another player is continually fined for wearing pants. There's one endearing scene where the women are being put through the paces of charm school one evening, and Greta, one of the players, rhetorically asks, "Why do you think they're doing all this, Carson?" And Greta answers herself with a sarcastic tone, "To make sure we don't look like a bunch of queers. That's what this is all about." I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you a summary of the series. As the series starts, we meet Carson Shaw coming for the train to go to the tryouts in Chicago. She can do so because her husband is deployed, which gives her the freedom to catch the train. And yes, you guessed it, she ends up making the Rockford Peaches. The team is coached by a former player, Dove, who does not hide his disgust that he's coaching a team of women to play ball. In that way, it's similar to the movie. And he disappears very quickly from the series. He doesn't play a main part in the series. He actually gets booted out pretty early, leaving the coaching to the team's catcher, Carson Shaw. Carson gets to compete, gets to learn how to flirt, and spoiler alert, there's even more. Gemma helps her to come out of her shell. Greta is a beautiful and glamorous person who hides her sexuality by playing up her flirtatious nature around men. She possesses a sense of confidence that Carson is attracted to, and Carson gets to know her teammates, Lupe, Jess, Shirley, and Esme, to name a few, and she starts to settle in to find herself, as it were, a different person from the Idaho wife she was in the past. We not only follow along with Carson in her first season of playing for the Rockford Peaches, but we're also invited into the story of Max. Now, Max is a black woman who loves baseball just as much and is more than likely more of a talented athlete than Carson. Carson and Max initially form this uneasy relationship, and it quickly progresses into deep conversations about playing ball, discovering their sexuality, and their lives in general. They got each other, and they accompanied each other as they explore the possibilities as they don't try to make sense of who they are, as they try to make sense of who they are and how they live their lives to anyone but themselves. It's during one of these conversations that Max reflects, "There's no version of myself that makes sense for the world." Max is a black woman living in a white world, a queer person who's figuring out who she is and what it means for her life. She's an extremely gifted ball player who's barred from the All-American Girls Professional League because she's black, and she can't play for the local black team because she's a woman. We're given a glimpse of her life as a black woman who just does not get the opportunities and how much it costs her. During one of the scenes, she asks her church-going mother, why would he give me this gift if it wasn't my path? It's a question that the series does not attempt to answer because there is no path for her, either in sports or in her own personal life, as her own queerness runs up against tradition and culture at that point in history.
My life flows on in endless song above earth lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
So in this TV series, we're invited into a multiplicity of women's stories who have varied gender expressions and sexualities. It acknowledges the real risk of violence they face and the consequences they face depending on their ability and willingness to live a straight, white, pretty thin, feminine ideal. It does not shy away from recognizing the real cost that was paid. Each of the women in this version of the Rockford Peaches have different attitudes about sexuality and gender. What's delightful about the series is that we get to see them make different choices about how they stay true to who they are and how they embrace these differences as they create a team. In one of the final conversations that Carson and Max have with each other, Max is off to play professional ball with a black team. This team just happens to have her love interest, another black woman pitcher on the team. Max is reflecting with Carson about this feeling that she is experiencing, and she's finally getting what she wanted for so long. And she realizes and recognizes that being able to love a woman and play baseball might be short-lived. And even then, despite those risks, she would rather have 5 minutes of what this feels like right now than to have a whole lifetime of before. The promise this story has for us is that life can look any way we want it to. Baseball teaches us that each day is a new opportunity for ourselves and for groups to which we belong. It's the company of good people who can see the multiple truths and ways of being that help us find our way. Like the women on the team of the Rockford Peaches, we too help each other be just a little more braver, a little more wiser as we make our way through this journey of life. in the company of others. We can build on what went well yesterday and continue to learn to do better when we fall short. Like the women in the Rockford Peaches, we do not have to do this alone. We can find our strength in each other, in the world that binds us together, and in the promise of a better world. So may we take up this call. May we bring our whole selves, our courage, our gifts, and our willingness to serve. Remember, there's an opportunity to serve on the board in this shared endeavor. May we, like those who came before us, kindle the fire of commitment and carry it forward with hope. Let us sing together our hymn number 1028, Fire of Commitment. The words are in the teal hymnal, and they'll be projected for you.
Feel free to rise if you like, yeah. Then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Thank you, Liz and Marcia. And Christian. Can't forget Christian. He's been holding the music all the way through the service. My dear ones, as we leave this place, may we carry with us the lessons of the game, the perseverance of teamwork, of stepping up when we are called. May we remember that each new day is an opportunity to begin again, to bring our best selves to the world, and to kindle the fire of commitment in our hearts. Go in love, go in courage, and go ready to play your part in this unfolding story of justice and community. May it ever be so. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be.
Reverend Maya will now extinguish our chalice and our candles. As the flame is lowered, I invite you to take a spark of its light and place it upon your heart and carry it with you into the week ahead, like a player carrying the lessons of the game beyond the field. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please join us next week for our Sunday service at 10:30, where we are delighted to have a guest minister with us. Reverend Mwibutsa Ndagijimana will speak from experience how adversity is hard and crushing and should never be minimized. He'll also be present at the refugee fundraising dinner on Saturday evening. Have you got your ticket yet? If not, please do so. For those of you who are with us here in person, please join us for coffee, tea, and snacks right after this service in Wickenden Hall. For those of you who are attending the service online, please leave this meeting after the service and join with others who are also attending online for conversation. The Zoom link is being placed in the chat by our AV folks. Wave to the folks on Zoom. Hi, Zoom.
Here's Sweet Caroline. Join in if you feel like it. Here, if you know it, yeah. Where it began.